What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pro Wrestling Society. Um, I'm here with Masp and Freddie. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Not bad.
Today, I'm going to be talking about Lucha Underground Season 4, Episode 4, and we're going to delve into the best pro wrestler slash manager pairs, along with if pro wrestling works in actual fight. So these should be really interesting topics. And with that, let's get started with the
What do we want to start with?
start with the Lucha Underground first. I have a lot to say about it.
All right, break down what
Actually,
happens in the latest episode, just so I'm up to speed.
okay, so basically, well, I gotta pull up the plot synopsis.
Well, overall, how are you feeling about season 4 going?
It says
into it?
here, oh, season 4. Okay.
Yeah, how do you feel about it so far?
It's trash. I just gotta be honest. It's really bad. It's really bad. It's, this is by far the weakest season of Lucha Underground. Like season 3 was better, and you know how I feel about season 3. It was
we
you
like
know
discussed it for a long time. We like went through how there were like so many holes in certain storylines and certain things like didn't add up. Certain characters like fell off. Like
yeah.
season 3 was like a crazy mixed bag of like a bunch of crazy different stuff mixed together. And with season 4, I don't know if I agree that it's like as bad as you make it sound, but it's definitely not what Lucha Underground was.
Yeah, it
See, I
It
always
okay,
seems
got,
way
season
more.
3, the thing about, wait, what?
I always got told that Lucha Underground was the top stuff, like better than WWE. So,
I
what the
mean,
fuck's up?
if you look at season 2 and season
Yeah,
3, it honestly is way better than anything going in WWE, but it's just I feel like they kind of lost themselves in the gimmicks because everything seems
yeah,
more like a joke rather than how serious they made it come across in previous seasons.
So basically, it turned
yeah,
from a big wrestling company to TNA, pretty much. Or Impact.
yeah. The thing about uh, it used to be fire, but now it's like season 3. It kind of went downhill. The only time it got its spark back was during the Ultimate Lucha Tres thing. That's when I was like, okay, I'm feeling it again. But then in season 4, it's like they slipped up. They completely dropped the bar on it, and and I'm gonna explain why. Okay, so and I'm just gonna read to you the plot. Uh, Actually, I'm just gonna give you a brief overview of what happened. Okay, so um, and you've watched season 4, have you? Like the
I've seen like
episode.
the first 3 episodes, I think.
Okay, so you're pretty much almost caught up to it,
Yeah,
except
I
for
think I'm
the.
just missing 1 or 2 shows or episodes.
All right, all right. So basically, what happens in this episode is, um, in this season, um, the temple is run by a new guy. Else, that's all I'm gonna say. And a whole bunch of wrestlers aren't there, and 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 the rest, I'm just let you watch it.
Well, I
But
mean,
then again, I don't.
so far, I
Okay,
mean,
but
I feel like season 3 is like for anybody who had a previous like love for the characters like Cobra Moon, what's her
Yeah.
Mariposa, King Cuerno, all these superstars that we're seeing again. If you have a love for them, you could still find like the joy of watching these episodes here and there. You're probably not going to want to watch the full thing, but I don't feel like it's that bad. But they, and like, you know me, when we were talking about Lucha Underground like season 4 before it ever premiered, I was somewhat optimistic and you were somewhat resistant, mainly because of like them lowering their budget and going to a smaller place, it not being the real temple. But I
Yeah.
honestly think they rebounded quite well.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna, I mean, that's the only thing that I liked about it. I liked the that came back, like Cold Moon. I'm so glad Mil Muertes, um, all of them. So I'll give
Oh
it
yeah, I
that.
was
But
gonna ask, have you seen the matches where Lucha Underground crossed over with like TNA and the matches that they did?
nah, not yet. I still have to. I still have to watch that. I'd love to see that.
I heard from quite a
Uh,
few people that they had some really good matches. And I can only expect with Phoenix and Pentagon being used and
yeah,
Johnny Mundo that they got a lot of good matches
yeah,
out of them.
totally. They're like, I mean, they like when they really want to put on a good show, they'll put it on. I
And you
mean,
know, I think that's really cool though because they kind of solved an issue that Lucha Underground was having. So many of the superstars hated being like contained to like that contract to where they couldn't do anything else. So for them to allow like interactions and matches with like Impact and stuff like that, I think that's really cool. It solved a huge issue that a lot of the wrestlers had with Lucha Underground contracts.
yeah. All right, so I'm gonna delve into the episode. Okay, so um, basically, Katrina gives Melissa a gift. Johnny Mundo, Taya, they take on Cobra Moon and Daga. Antonio gives King Cuerno a shot at revenge for chance to win an Aztec medallion. Matanza makes a sacrifice to the gods. That's pretty much it. Okay, so um, okay, here's what I did not like at all from the show. Like scene when um Phoenix dies, and
Phoenix died?
yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna go into the details of how that happened, but
That's
that's
some
what happened.
bullshit. What the hell? How do
Told you.
you go in? How that's like WWE killing John Cena in the storyline. How the hell do you kill Phoenix?
That's this show is going downhill.
I
Okay.
guess, man.
Yeah. Supposedly he's the man of 1,000 lives, but he dies like in one match.
Some bullshit.
Yeah, it makes no ever. That's what pisses me off. It's like, how are you gonna call this guy the man of 1,000 lives, but then you just kill him and he's down to like one life. Man.
Ridiculous.
Okay, so and that's not even the worst part about it. The worst part about it was Melissa's reaction to it. All the scene, all it was her just thumbing through the phone, looking at pics of her and Phoenix. And dude, she's not even crying. No show of emotion, nothing. Just she's just like
Can I
what the
can I ask you something real quick? What did you
heck?
think about what did you think about Phoenix and Melissa's like relationship like before all this? Like before season 4, what was your overall thoughts on their relationship?
Okay, I will admit I thought it was cute. Like they had some good lines. Like like Melissa was like actually remind. Okay, I don't know if I can't pull it up at the top of my head. Remember when Phoenix and Melissa were talking about Phoenix was talking about removing his mask or something like that, and Melissa was like, he was like, I can't remove my mask because I'll lose my identity, and he was scared. And then Melissa was like, "Oh, well, you won't lose me," and something like that. I was like, "Oh, look."
Yeah, that was back when they had that was like around the time when they entered their like match that they were gonna have at Ultima Lucha, I think, where it was hair versus mask and it
Yeah.
was Phoenix versus to be honest, I my thoughts on their whole like relationship dynamic
Yeah.
across like how it came across on the show, I thought it was just cringeworthy and somewhat awkward. And then like going out of season 3, I ended up like noticing like I started following some of the people on Lucha Underground and I noticed that Melissa and Cage are like in a relationship and I'm just not a fan of fake relationships on screen in wrestling. I just feel like it comes across too forced, too weird and it's just I just haven't been interested in that angle whatsoever.
Yeah, aside from the cute lines, it was like it's
Like,
like
could you imagine though if we got Cage and Melissa in a like showing off their real relationship within the show? I feel like that would come across more natural than Phoenix and Melissa.
yeah, that's the thing I just didn't like about it is how it was like we all know anybody who follows them on Twitter, we all know that it's not real. That in reality,
Are you doing that on purpose or are you cutting out?
I thought it was my Wi-Fi, but I think it's him.
oh yeah, I think
Okay, you're back.
your
It's
phone.
not.
Oh yeah, I don't know why it keeps breaking up a little bit, but
Yeah, it was just a little like for a quick second. What were you saying though?
oh yeah, I was saying it's like, what's the point in this relationship? It's like, why are they having um? It's like why why Phoenix, why Melissa, why not Melissa and Kate? It's like
Yeah, I
it
mean, like
just
that's always been
believability.
the question that I ask myself is like, okay, you really want to get like a unless it makes sense gimmick wise, I don't see why you would ask two wrestlers to like fake a relation. Like even though I know that it's part acting, I feel like that's something like they got to have a history. It's got to be connected somehow. It's got to make sense. When you just take two random people, try and put them together, it comes across forced, too obvious, and people who aren't wrestling fans can see through that in a matter of like 2 or 3 minutes of on-screen interaction. So it's like that's where wrestling does itself a big disservice. And it's like if you do have two wrestlers on your roster that happen to be in a relationship, you should really look like cherish those relationships more and build storylines around them, much like how Cody Rhodes does. And he'll take it to different promotions all around like the indie scene, and it works. It really shows progress whenever you do something like that rather than for something.
Totally agree with you there. I mean, they just weren't trying to see a relationship. Yeah, Phoenix and Melissa, they took
Sounds like you're cutting out
takes
again.
away from me.
Yeah.
Oh, how about now?
It's better now.
Okay. Yeah, it was I don't know why it does that. mic volume goes down a little bit. Um, okay, but the worst part about it was how Phoenix, after he died, Melissa was not even crying at all. No emotion, nothing. Like it felt like she she acted as if she had a bad day at work, and that was it.
Yeah, that I could see how that'd be like really lame.
Yeah, it was garbage, and I was like, it does not look like she cares one bit about Phoenix, and like you could tell that she was trying to, but it just wasn't working. Like, and then Katrina was like, um, she was like rubbing it in her face, talking about, oh, Phoenix died. I'm so like, talking junk. And I expected Melissa to lose it and just beat the crap out of her. But no, that's not what happened. She just stayed there, like sitting down, looking through their photos and stuff like that. Not even crying, nothing.
I
It
just
was
don't understand why you would kill off someone like Phoenix. It's like he's like the John he's like the John Cena ultimate babyface of your brand, and you do that. It's like
yeah,
like
yeah.
and
You're
if you are gonna do that, I would want like mad heat on the person who it's happening like against, you know? And like I just feel like when I don't know, it's just not a good idea in my opinion.
yeah, and the thing about it was that they made it look non-special. Like it wasn't a grand death. Like it was quick, and
Yeah.
it didn't mean squat. It did not mean squat. Like the way the way it was structured, and it just felt like they just killed a nobody. Like it was bad, and then
Damn, that's
they
messed up.
killed off a character that one of the best characters of the whole show. It's like it
Yeah, because
makes no sense.
Phoenix was active throughout almost every season, if I remember correctly. So
Yeah.
that's something you really got to build up to, which I understand. What else happened on the episode?
Okay. The part that I liked was when Matanza pretty much like uses a human punching bag. That was crazy. Like he he was training and he's hitting this bag, but it's a human and he's beating the crap out of it. And I was like, oh crap, this is legit. Damn, brutal. But but I mean, other than that, nothing really interesting happened. I mean,
For people who haven't watched Lucha Underground, uh, and like people who just like wonder like who like within Lucha Underground who's like the beast, like somewhat like a Brock Lesnar character. That is Matanza, yet he plays off being a beast way better than Brock Lesnar ever could. And
totally agree.
he does it in attire that is physically exhausting and having to move around in such a big jumpsuit and that mask that covers up like most of his face, not like basically his eyes are like the biggest holes in his mask. So
Yeah,
I feel like Matanza, he doesn't get nearly enough respect as a character. And if you compare him to anybody in like any brand who's like looked at as the big dominant presence, I feel like he does a way better job at getting that across on screen than anybody in wrestling right now.
totally agree with you there because, um, again, the lack of characters just makes
One,
it, you know,
let me know what you think about this, Isaiah. Like, to me, I think just one or two like shots of like certain superstars on Lucha Underground makes them come across way better than even old old clips or old like promos with superstars in WWE, I feel like you can see Matanza for like probably a minute or two in an episode, and he comes across way better than a Brock Lesnar or a Bobby Lashley does.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about it is that he doesn't even have to talk.
I know that's the craziest thing about it, dude.
Like Brock Lesnar, he tries so hard, and regardless of the stuff he does, it just comes off as he's trying too hard. He's
That's the sucky thing about being Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley is their voices alone is what ruins their promos and them coming across like a Matanza does.
Yeah, Brock.
Like when Brock Lesnar, sometimes he comes as like a prick, not necessarily a beast. So it's like Bobby Lashley is like the respectable big dude. It's like, okay, you're respectful. And then he has the weird smile.
Brock Lesnar's just a no-show. That's it.
I know how you don't even show up. He's given up.
Pretty much.
Hey, Brock Lesnar, just the voice, like his voice is so high pitched and whatnot, and it makes it not like his voice does not match his body whatsoever, and that's the suck. That is just like, bro, no, like.
And then they're like, have you guys seen the one promo where he's like, okay, Paul, now say something stupid? And it's like, well, technically, Paul Heyman says the only thing worth listening to when it comes to Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, everybody remembers my client, Brock Lesnar, conquered the street. Everybody remembers that, and then anything that Brock Lesnar says, it just doesn't work. Like Paul Heyman is a freaking genius, and that's why people respect Paul Heyman more than Brock Lesnar's mic skills and whatnot. If he
the Brock Lesnar Paul Heyman topic kind of should be saved for later.
Okay, we're getting off topic. Okay, so all right, so another thing that I was glad when Cobra Moon finally got back in the ring. I was like, about time. Like, she got in the ring with Johnny Mundo and Taya, and she had
By any chance, can you guess how many matches like Cobra Moon has actually had on Lucha Underground?
not many. Like, I think she only had like 5.
That's what I was
4.
thinking. Because I only remember like, did she ever face Daga?
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't think she did.
Or was it one of the people in her tribe? I think may have.
I think it was one of the people in her tribe. Like, you're talking about if she wrestled against them, or
yeah, or no, never mind. I remember what it was. She was like stalking him. Remember, for like the longest time.
Drago.
Or no.
Oh,
it was both. Remember, she did both, right? She was, she costed Daga a few matches, and then he ended up disappearing for a while. And then that's when she like went to Drago and then like ended up keeping him as like a slave.
Yeah, I remember now. Yeah, like she's only had like 5 or 4 matches, and like half of them.
I feel like her and Mariposa are like just grossly underrated because they're good in the ring, man.
Yeah, and that's what bothers me about this whole show is that almost half of Cobra Moon's matches are the bomb. Like, they had me off my seat watching them. They had me going crazy, and then they were like, and then for like 1 or 2 seasons, they just had Cobra Moon as the side character, and she was just chilling, laying back, not doing squat. And
Mariposa is looking thick as fuck this season. My God, dude. No, man, it's not even a joke, man.
Oh,
I saw her enter the what is that match called? It's kind of like the Royal Rumble for Lucha Underground. It was on the first episode. I can't remember, but I think it's Aztec Warfare or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
I saw her enter, dude, and I was just stunned. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
No, she changed up her hair, her ring attire.
Oh.
She's looking
yeah.
dope this season.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not personally I'm not really into that much. I mean, as far as appearance goes, but I think she's an okay wrestler.
Dude, to be honest, I haven't even seen like I saw her profile and saw her face once or twice, but I'm so caught up in the character, I don't even care about the real person.
Dang, that's saying a lot.
That's how good she is, dude. Especially those the old angles with her and Marty the Moth. They just did such a good job at playing their roles that it was just so much fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the match she did with Sexy Star and a whole
that
bunch
was
of
crazy, man. I feel like that match don't get talked about enough. They killed it with that match.
Yeah. The second time
isn't that the one where they were fighting up in the rafters above the ring?
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah. She cut her forehead open and she was sprinkling the blood on the fans and whatnot. I was like, dang, this is effed up. Oh, that was a match I'll never forget.
Is there anything else about the episode that we're going to talk about?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm glad Cobra Moon got back in the ring. I hope that they do something with her and the Reptile Tribe. Yeah, all of them.
Well, yeah, I just feel like the two women on the brand that are still there, other than Taya, I feel is Mariposa and Cobra Moon, and they need storylines to really keep them busy. And I want to see them in the ring more.
Totally. I was just complaining about that last week. I was like the way Cobra Moon moves, it got me horny, but I was like, I want to see some action. The way it's the way it felt okay, I like the way she moves, but it's
I get what you're saying, dude. She maneuvers herself like a snake, but it's
exactly.
It's because and this is a real thing. My sister and my sister. Whenever I would watch old wrestling, the Ruthless Aggression era, my sister was she would always be attracted to Randy Orton and the way that he maneuvered around. Which now, for guys, we can understand because Cobra Moon is a female Randy Orton in the way she maneuvers like a snake. It's that's too sensual for some people.
I was shocked when she made her debut like that. I was like, who is this? I was like, dang, son.
I'm more into the creepy lucha chick, but
yeah. But yeah,
Mariposa looks to me, her appearance is way cooler than Cobra Moon. Even though I love Cobra. I love Cobra Moon, but Mariposa looks way cooler.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm glad Cobra Moon is back in the ring, but I want to see more action, man. It's where's the action? Cobra Moon, they need to put her get her off the bench and start getting in the ring more, because this is pissing me off. It's like you got this talented wrestler and you're not even using her. Like, come on now, like step up your game for once. Like, come on.
Do you think a fair criticism for anybody who like watches Lucha Underground for them to say that Lucha Underground trusted Sexy Star like too much with all of their in-ring competition as far as like the women's action? Because if you think about it, they haven't even used Evilise to the best of their ability.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, Evilise.
It's like they gave every good spot to Sexy Star.
Yeah, and that's. I mean, I love Sexy, but at the same time, it's like you gotta step up.
It's almost like what people say about John Cena. It's like, imagine if you just give a few superstars like the upper hand to go over just a few times. And it's like you could have created a moment with Evilise. You could have created moments with Cobra Moon already. I feel like Mariposa with her match with Sexy Star, I feel like they already made a moment. And even though I don't even know if Sexy Star won that match, but Mariposa really got like noticed off of it. I just feel like they should have split up like as many opportunities as they were gonna give Sexy Star.
Yeah, unfortunately, Sexy got most of the spotlight, and Evilise, she got some of it more than the other
But she
female
got
wrestlers.
injured, which sucked.
Yeah, and she only made like one brief appearance, and that was it for this season. But yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. Like, they got talented female wrestlers like Cobra Moon and Mariposa. Even though I don't like Mariposa, but Taya, I don't like her either. But they're, I will admit they're talented as heels, and they should get equal treatment, or not, if not equal treatment, but at least some time to shine, because it is disappointing, because Lucha Underground is supposed to give in the beginning, they gave everybody a shot to shine, and now it's like they're only giving us a select few people, and not everybody, so it's flipping up, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
But this is what got to me. The match, okay. The match, there was this match between Matanza and some no-name guy.
A jobber?
Yeah, you could say that. It was some ultimate sacrifice match, and this is the thing I hated about it. Okay, and the Antonio Cueto made it seem like it was gonna be bloody, it was gonna be brutal, it was gonna be savage, it was gonna be.
He hyped it up too much.
Yeah, he hyped it up too much, and by the end, and Matanza, he was killing it. Dude was just wrecking this, like he was wrecking this dude like nonstop. But by the end of the match, Antonio raises up his staff, lights go out, and the guy just disappears. It's like, what kind of sacrifice is that? Oh my goodness, this was whack.
See, like, that's where I was like saying, I feel like the gimmick stuff has gone a little too far.
Yeah, and that's what pisses me off, because it's like Dario and Antonio, they hyped up certain things too much. They made it seem like they were better than they actually were. I mean, like, okay, no lie, Dario and Antonio both have some really killer voices. Like, they can really announce stuff,
Yeah, they really make stuff seem more important than it really is, and it comes across well on screen. I think though, it's like Lucha Underground is starting to suffer what every wrestling company starts to suffer with, and that's, can you top what you did one time? And it's like, after seeing the Killshot versus Dante Fox match, I don't think we're gonna get to see something that brutal on an actual television wrestling show. I don't think we'll see anything like that unless it's Lucha Underground. So like the expectations of them is so high whenever they announce like a brutal match that they
Yeah.
have to deliver, or else it has people questioning stuff. Because if you watch like the death match with Pentagon and Vampiro, that is some of the most brutal stuff you'll ever see.
Totally.
So
But
like I feel like they have to sometimes hype it up and it'll be fake. But I hate that if that's really how they did it. Just they like talk it up and then a dude just disappears. Like that's like WWE desperate with Undertaker segments.
yeah, and it was really disappointing, honestly, because and they did that same stuff with previous seasons. Like,
Yeah, I
um,
remember that.
yeah, and that's the thing I just don't like about the show is how they'll hype it up to a point where you think that something crazy is gonna go down, and then it just doesn't happen, and then you're just disappointed. And I'm like,
So
dang.
the match didn't even end. It was just Matanza destroying this dude and then he disappeared.
Yeah, it was like a few seconds, and that was it. Like
Yeah, that's awkward.
no torture, nothing that I was expecting. None of that. So it's like, what kind of sacrifice is this? Like when you think of sacrifice, you think of blood, you think of guts, you think of all these, pain, all these horrible things, and for them to just have that, it's like, come on, man. Like I was expecting something good. Like I was expecting somebody to get somebody to get killed or something. Like, dang.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much my review on that episode. Um, hopefully they'll do better next time, or I'm still hoping that they do better, but I don't think it's gonna
Yeah.
happen. Um, yeah. So, what do you guys want to talk about next?
I'm down for anything.
All right, so we're gonna cover the topics that we didn't have time to cover the last time, and that is does pro wrestling work in an actual fight? Like, what do you guys think?
Freddie, you
Like,
want to
you,
get this first?
Yeah, in a way, because of the like stuff that happens. It depends which way it goes. Like, if the moves and stuff you hit right, there won't be so much injuries. But if it goes the wrong way, then you know stuff could go
Yeah, I could
bad.
see how like attempting a certain wrestling move could easily get you hurt worse than it could help you in a real fight. And like
yeah,
I could see that. I
Yeah.
could totally see that.
yeah,
With me, like though, I grew up wrestling with my older brothers, and that was like the only form of like real violence that like me at younger that I went through. So like somewhat wrestling kind of teaches people to be more like have more self-defense if you grow up in a household like that. And
yeah,
for me, like you
Yeah.
learn quick what wrestling moves what will help you and what will easily get you messed up.
yeah. Yeah, and here's the thing that I just don't like about what people like say about it. They'll be like, "Oh, wrestling is fake and whatnot," and it's like, no, it's not. Those are legit moves. The only reason why, um, they don't get hurt as much is because um, they're only applying it to some degree, and
Plus, you got to think wrestling is like all forms of fighting,
yeah,
but in like a performance, in like an art. It's more of an art rather than like because like that's the thing that I always have a debate with people about. It's like I don't necessarily agree that wrestling is a full-on sport. I feel like it's a performing art as well. So for like when you consider that, it's like okay, so now you're throwing in mixed martial arts moves that wrestlers use today, some karate looking stuff like kicks here and there, there's so many different styles brought into wrestling by different people with different styles that, yeah, like wrestling moves technically today are basically just like regular fighting moves when you think about it.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that wrestling is technically based on martial arts and actual Greco-Roman wrestling, older styles of wrestling. So the moves, they're authentic. It's just used in a sort of performance um, type of environment, setting.
So when you pose the question if wrestling moves really work in a fight, it's definitely some do. It's just what moves you would ever attempt to use. I can guarantee you an RKO will never help you in a real fight. I can guarantee you will never, like 9 times out of 10, you will not get in the position for a tombstone pile driver.
My
And
friend,
if you do, I question what kind of fighting you're doing if you get into some of those positions.
oh man, unless you're just beating the crap out of the guy and you want to mess
and
around with.
like he's like already knocked out, then you're like trying wrestling moves on him. That'd be somewhat excessive.
Man, okay, I remember back in middle school, one of my friends, he was telling me how he beat this dude's and he did the RKO on him on the freaking I don't know if it was on the concrete or on the grass, but he said the dude ended up knocked out and crap, and I was like, dang.
I'm telling you this right now. I would pay more money to see an RKO in a real fight than I would pay to actually see a WWE event. Because I would just want to see how one would go about that. Like, how would you attempt an RKO in a real fight? That's the real question.
I've seen videos on it though, where they actually do it, and the crazy thing about it is it looks nothing like it does on WWE or like in WWE it looks dramatic and everything, but when somebody actually does it in real life, it just looks like it doesn't look as entertaining. Like it looks like the guy just got knocked out with uh with a regular punch, like in a way.
Do you guys know the backbreaker that Randy Orton does?
Yeah.
No, you gotta. I think I do.
Well, it's like he basically just hooks your neck around his arm, and then he goes behind you and just like basically snaps you over his back when he hits his knees. So he's basically just hooking your neck, going behind you, and then just dropping to his knees, and it like stuns you. That move actually does work. I've done it before, and then I flipped someone directly over me, and it was kind of like if you weren't looking closely, it would look almost like what Ronda Rousey does, where she like judo tosses someone.
Yeah.
So like that is a specific move that has worked before.
Yeah, and now that you mentioned Ronda Rousey, like some of the MMA fighters, they actually do use pro wrestling moves in their fights.
Oh yeah,
it's
Aleister
crazy.
Black, you see him on every NXT episode throwing roundhouse kicks, like bicycle kicks. He's like doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, and the thing about pro wrestling also is you got to specify what era you're talking about, because there's different eras. Like I remember one guy, he was talking about this wrestler who was on he was on my podcast a while back, and he said that in his time period, wrestling was legit. Like the actual hits, the actual submissions, they were legit. Like,
well, yeah,
it's not.
like see, and that's the thing I've always had a problem with whenever people jump on like Sexy Star's case. It's like people want to get so mad when you work stiff, but they don't realize a lot of older superstars back in the day wrestled stiff. So if you learn from someone who worked a little bit more stiff than others, it like can't you see how there would be a misunderstanding between certain wrestlers?
Yeah, and I think
Like some people are just because like I feel like if you put like Natalia up against like who could you put her like a Summer Rae, like you clearly know that these two have totally different backgrounds and how they were trained. And one person, if they're supposed, like if they're told backstage, okay, you got to come across as dominant and this is going to be a squash match. Natalia knows how to work pretty stiff.
Exactly.
A Summer Rae is not used to, I wouldn't say she's used to a hard-hitting style just like that.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that they all crap on Sexy Star, but they don't say anything about people who work stiff like Ayako Hamada and all those Japanese wrestlers
Well, see, this is
well,
what I was telling somebody who was more of a WWE fan that only knew about Sexy Star for her incidents. I was like, you can't talk bad about Sexy Star and what she's done if you look up to, like, or are inspired by a wrestler like Bob Holly. Simple and plain.
Yeah, I remember he beat the crap.
Because Bob Holly is like the clear definition of a bully within the wrestling business that has taken things way too far.
Exactly. Like I saw him beat up a fan training to be a wrestler because
that was Matt Capitelli, the wrestler that passed away from brain cancer not too long ago recently. R.I.P. to him.
Yeah, that was like, dang. I was like, and then and he didn't even feel sorry for it. He was like, I'm not. He was like, I don't regret it and whatnot. It just had to be done, and it was like, I don't know, like it just felt like wrong to me because it's like he was
dude. To be honest, that episode or just that video in general, if you find it on YouTube, it's really hard to watch because you see that he wanted to fight back, but because he had respect for the business, he wasn't about to like make a scene and try and fight back.
Yeah.
So he just took it and it was just messed up. But since we're talking about like fighting and wrestling, what are some moves that you think work in like a real fight if it was ever to go down?
I think a DDT works because
that's deadly though. That's deadly. That's like whipping out the curb stomp, your first option. It's like curb stomp them. It's like, damn.
Oh man, yeah, totally. By the way, did I tell you guys how I got DDT'd like when I was a kid?
No.
Okay, basically my friend was like, "You want to get DDT'd?" And I was like, "What's that?" And he was like, "I'll show you." And then, so we go to like near this little playground thing. It was indoors. We go to this area, and he just does it. And I landed on the top of my head, and I was just like, I was out, like I was laid out on the floor. Everything was spinning. I was dizzy and crap, and I was just laying there, and all I could hear was like, he was like, "Oh."
Probably could have got a concussion.
Yeah, I did get a concussion. Like,
damn.
And I was trying hard to get up too, but I just kept falling and whatnot, and I kept slipping, and he was just busting out. Everybody was busting out there laughing. So I was like, dang, it's like this stuff is legit.
That's crazy. What about you, Freddie? Do you have one?
A
wrestling move you think would work?
There's a few of them that would work in a real fight. Like,
yeah, I know the DDT. Go ahead.
Trying to think off the top of my head, and I can't think right now.
I'll go ahead and throw another one out there. German suplex works like a charm.
Definitely.
Because like, and that's something I had to learn the hard way when I like joined wrestling for like the actual schools. I was like, because for the longest time I just wasn't that interested in it. So like when I first joined it, I had people who weighed like half my size and they were like German suplexing me. And I was feeling it, man. My neck was sore almost every single night. Freaking. And then like I didn't even know that like I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's like a fireman carry, but like you're on your knees and then you flip them over real quick. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, they do that in
it's like Brazil. It's like a miniature attitude adjustment, but it's like really quick.
Yeah, I can believe that. It was they do that in
Those
some
are
martial.
some those are some moves that could really dislocate your shoulders, man.
Totally. And especially since these guys are ripped and crap. Like like imagine somebody like John Cena picking up an average person who weighs like I don't know how many 100 to 200 pounds or
That'd be
maybe less.
so unfair. Like that person would die.
Yeah, exactly. Like DDT, you get hit with a DDT, you're probably getting killed or something because that think about it, you're putting your whole body weight on
Yeah.
somebody's neck, on somebody's head, and you're just using that momentum to drive the head down. And like you can't even do that with a knockout punch because a knockout punch, you're just putting like you're just putting your fist into it. You know, you're not.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could put your whole body into it, but with that, the DDT, you're putting your whole body into it, and
Oh
you're
shit, Freddy bounced.
oh crap.
He
Um,
probably just lost signal or something.
yeah, I guess we'll wait for him. Oh,
Well,
you want to
what
wait
else
for
were
him?
we talking about?
Yeah, we were talking about the DDT, the
Oh
DDT.
yeah.
Yeah, we
Um, I mean, I think we've gotten quite enough into this particular topic. What else were we going to talk about?
okay. So, um, last thing I was gonna talk about was the best heel, not actually best pro wrestler slash manager um type of pairings. Like, what? Who do you think
Oh,
is the
this
best?
this would have been a better topic for Freddie to jump in on.
Yeah.
You should message him and see if he's gonna jump back in
Oh,
because
he said his Hangouts thing isn't working.
all right,
So
so we're just gonna jump into it.
yeah, he said to go on without him.
All right, cool. Go ahead and tell me what like some of the best pairings between a manager and superstar you think.
All right. So my in my opinion, it would have to be Undertaker and Paul Bearer. Um, let me
That's a
try.
good one.
Yeah, by far the best one in my opinion. Um, Melina and Johnny Nitro,
That's a good one too.
and the other
Yeah.
guy. Um,
Oh yeah, Joey Mercury.
yeah, him. Um, can't think of anybody right now.
I'll throw some out there. Shawn Michaels and Sherry. Uh, Macho Man, Miss Elizabeth. Mm,
Yeah, I don't,
hmm.
I haven't
Brock
watched.
Lesnar, Paul Heyman. Even though
Yeah,
like they have their ups and downs, but I think Paul Heyman has earned the respect of people. Uh, Especially with so many things he's gotten over when it comes to Brock Lesnar. Uh, who else is there?
I want to say this: Dario Cueto and Matanza.
Yes, man. Yes. I would also say Katrina and Mil Muertes.
Yeah, because and the thing about it is, like we talked about, um, you don't know who's in control. Like you don't know if the Stone has more power or if Katrina has more power over Mill. Um,
Yeah.
so that's what makes it such a great pairing.
I
Uh,
think I think that not Pentagon. Yeah, Pentagon and Vampiro. They had a pretty good, like, solid pair, but like I don't know if you would necessarily call Vampiro his manager because they ended up fighting. But like at the end of the day, can't you consider a master somewhat of a manager since he's guiding him and he's like,
Yeah. Yeah,
like
I think
Vampiro did really he did walk alongside Pentagon a few times, so I feel like you can classify them as that.
yeah, they just don't want to use the term
Oh,
manager.
dude, I know one that's really good.
Which,
Back in the day, Umaga and the dude that he used to have that broke the cigars, they were a dope pairing.
yeah, I haven't watched Umaga yet, but he's pretty dope. I can believe that. So
Umaga is one of my favorite wrestlers, man. It sucked when he passed away.
yeah, he was like I saw that match he did with Jeff Hardy. He almost killed him. Like I was like, dang. I was like, he was just yelling and crying like, oh, and then just hits him with that his signature move. What's it called?
Uh, whose? Jeff Hardy's or Umaga's?
Umaga.
Umaga had the Samoan spike,
Yeah,
and
that he said boom, and Jeff Hardy was laid out.
that's got to be one of my favorite finishers, dude. Even though it's very simple, I think like the fact that he had his thumb taped up the way he did, and like it was called the Samoan spike, like that
Yeah,
was just it was a beast move.
like, totally. And the thing about it is he he just like okay, most people they would just do it once and that's it. But no, like he picked him up like two times and did and said boom and just laid him out like almost killed him. Like
Yeah,
dang, it's like he really wanted to see him dead and whatnot. And
I'm telling you, man, the best match like we could ever have would be Umaga versus Matanza.
yeah,
That
I
would
would totally love to see that match go down. Like these two wrestlers are just beasts at what they do.
shoot. Even if I could see Umaga and Pentagon go at it, because imagine how you could play into that storyline. You could have like Pentagon always trying to break the arm with the Samoan spike.
Yeah,
That would be such a cool storyline.
it would. It totally would. Like
So,
suck.
real quick, getting back to more managers and wrestlers. Who else
Okay.
could we name? There's oh, I could have swore Eddie and China was a pairing, right?
They're more like a couple, I think.
Okay then.
I don't know if they're actually,
Edge
and
and Lita,
same. I don't know.
that's a good one.
It's hard to tell sometimes because it's like they'll have these
No,
relations.
I think even though that Lita and Edge were a couple, Lita was definitely a manager.
Probably. I don't know.
Because just think about it, she did all the things a manager does. She would talk for Edge sometimes. She would like sometimes they would be in different locations, and Lita would like be an introduction or something like that.
Yeah.
She even helped him out like a manager does when he faced Mick Foley at WrestleMania 22.
Yeah, I think I saw that match. That match was that match, wow. I don't quite remember it. The match in
Ooh,
detail.
there's two other pairings that I just thought about but these two I like hated back in the day. I hated them, but because they were so good at their job. It
Yeah.
was Davari and Kurt Angle, and then
I
who
don't
was the
remember.
other one that I was thinking about? Davari and Kurt Angle, and then there was, oh man, sucks. I'm forgetting this. I'm gonna have to think about it. It just slipped my brain.
Vicky Guerrero and Edge. What do you think about them?
Oh, I mean, yeah, they were good because Vicky played the role of being annoying so well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
um,
couldn't stand Vicky. I wanted her to get to get effed up. And same
Oh
with
yeah,
go
King
ahead.
Booker and Queen Charmel.
Yes, that was that was my favorite. Like I couldn't stand those two. Dang.
Yeah, man. When they were having that feud with Batista, I was like pulling my hair out. I was like, somebody, please stop this. I was getting so, and then like there was that whole like time period where Booker T was just so extra with it. It just worked
Yeah.
so well.
Yeah, I need to see that feud, but I man, I couldn't stand um Melina and the Nitros. That was one stable that I hated
Yeah,
because
man. Especially when Jeff Hardy came back, because I was like, damn it, you're gonna have this chick screw over Jeff Hardy, and he just returned. I
yeah,
was like so triggered around that area.
I mean, yeah, like Melina was hot though, but dang, like I couldn't stand her. She was always being so annoying and whatnot, and
How she
and
used to scream at ringside.
yeah. But the thing that really just got me fired up was how she would always go at the critical moment and mess everything up. And I was like, God dang it! Why did you have to ruin this match? Somebody please put her in a tombstone or something. It's like I was like in my head, I was cussing her out, and I was like, I was like, somebody needs to put this. Ooh, like somebody needs to put
Dude,
her in a
she
hospital.
she took she took some crazy spots though. I remember she got a Batista bomb. I remember John Cena gave her the attitude adjustment.
Yeah,
Jeff
yeah,
Hardy accidentally kicked her a few times.
yeah.
It's crazy. Like that's what I really like about certain managers is when they actually get into the action too. It
Totally.
takes the whole dynamic to another level. And actually, a manager and a wrestler paired today that I think is like really underrated and is starting to become like very well known. Rusev and Aiden English. Like they got this whole Rusev Day gimmick going so well on SmackDown Live.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't keep up with Rusev or whatever.
Yeah, I know. I'm just throwing that out there because they're one of the like manager and superstars today that is doing a really good job.
Yeah, but man,
And
I gotta tell you, like, oh, go ahead.
I totally forgot what I was gonna say. Go ahead.
All right, Paul Bearer and Undertaker. That was Paul Bearer was the iconic manager of like of all of Undertaker's career. Like um nobody could manage the Undertaker other than Paul Bearer. Like like those two were so well together because Paul Bearer, like he like dude, I'm telling you, he scared me as a kid.
To
Same
you,
with Undertaker.
to you, is that one of the best pairings, or is that the best
Honestly,
in
yeah.
your opinion?
Um, honestly, that's probably the best of all time because
If you can like put two as like your top two manager and superstar pairings, who would the two be? Like, okay, you already got Undertaker and Paul Bearer, but who's the second one? You would say.
it's a hard it's a hard choice, but um, I would say um I would say Melina and the Nitros because um
That's interesting.
yeah, because for this reason, because I never had such strong feelings of anger and frustration and what you name it, like it's just seeing them mess everything up. Then
I
like
feel you.
because with Pentagon and Vampiro, they're not exactly heels, and so like I think they're cool, but it
Yeah,
doesn't really.
they're more in a badass role rather
Yeah,
than piss you off, make you feel cheated sort of vibe.
yeah, and I feel like that's the issue with a lot of manager slash wrestler pairings is that they look cool together, but they can't really make you feel anything that they're intending to, if they're a heel, uh stable.
Yeah.
They're supposed to anger you. They're supposed to bring out all those negative emotions out of you. And if
But
they don't do that, then you know it's like it's like they're not doing their job right. And with Melina,
yeah,
she really, really, um
she
really,
really did
really,
her job.
yeah. like
Like I remember it, man. She used to like get me like, cause like sometimes that's the thing about like when there's false finishes. If you're
yeah,
really into the match, you will feel like you have been cheated, like you were in like a poker game and they rigged it or something. Like you would be just fueled with anger.
yeah, exactly. Like she comes in at just before a wrestler is gonna win. Like she came in with the Undertaker. I remember watching it as a kid. She came in with the Undertaker, um, in like a very important title match or something really important, and she was trying to just mess everything up. And I was like, God dang it! I was like,
To,
somebody
to
needs
me,
to get.
if I was to like say that like how angry that certain things like Melina did that pissed me off, man. Like like just seeing her limp around sometimes just annoyed me, and I was like, get her off my screen. Like I don't want to see her right now. And then like I always thought it was hilarious the dynamic between Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross, and how Jerry Lawler would totally be on her side 24/7, and then Jim Ross would give no fucks. He would just like bury Melina as he's talking. He's like, "Get this chick out of here. Oh, she
Yeah,
ruined the damn match and shit." Like I just loved everything about when Melina and like Johnny Nitro were on screen. Even their entrance was like, to me, I think it's iconic just because I don't remember anybody doing the red carpet and the photography stuff
yeah.
like they did.
I think that's the worst thing about it that really got to my head, like really, really pissed me off was just how vain they acted. Like they acted as if they were just untouchable. They didn't come in as wrestlers. They just came in as superstars and acting all arrogant and stuff. And then she'd like cheat, um, and just make them win and unfairly, and then she would just brag about it. That just pissed me off. But and same with Vicky Guerrero, she kind of pissed me off too. She was like, "Excuse me," like so annoying. God dang it! Like, shut up. Like, it's like, but really though, with Melina, it's like, it's like you're banging a chick, right? And you're almost at the point where you about to you about to blow your load, and then somebody just walks in and just ruins everything. That's that's about as that's just how that's how it feels. Like like ugh. That got me so fueled up. Like somebody just needs to F her up.
Looking
Like
at like your two like best pairs of like manager and superstar, I would say mine has to be um I'd have to say Mil Martez and Katrina definitely has to be one. And what could be another one? I'm just gonna go with Lucha Underground and just say Matanza and Dario Cueto. I think those two uh just pairings were just they were so cool, dude. Especially how Katrina and Dario like present their superstars. It's just so different from anybody else that I really liked it. And the only thing that works against like yours, like with Undertaker and Paul Bearer, I would say that Paul Bearer kind of had a similar dynamic with Kane that kind of took away from what made his pairing with Undertaker so special.
Totally. Yeah, Kane was similar
It's almost
to.
like the effect that Stacy Keibler had, where she was with Test, she was with Scott Steiner, she was around Paul Heyman, which that's like a manager for a manager. And then there was also the time where she was manager for the Dudleys.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing about that's what I love about people like Katrina, Mil Muertes, and you know those pairings. Same with Dario and Matanza, all of them is just the characters themselves and the backstory that they had. It was
And for
so.
example, if you were to ever see Katrina not with Mil Muertes, it's because she's plotting against someone and she's really still on Mil's side.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because like she uses Mil Muertes for his power. So like I think that's the thing that makes them so much more complex than like your casual WWE manager and wrestler. Like
Yeah.
I can even remember you saying that wasn't Sabu's wife his manager, or isn't she still his manager?
Yeah. Yeah, and they make a great pair. Like.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm like, there's some really good pairings out there, but they just don't have the dynamic on screen that you get to see from Lucha Underground. And it's mainly because it's more of a TV show, it's more of an actual story. And in WWE, you really got to follow along with some of the managers. And today, it's not as dedicated as they should be. Like another one I was gonna tell you about, a wrestler and a manager that are working well right now. There's Cien Almas and what's her name, Zelina Vega. They're a pretty good pairing, and I just think that so many of them are just mistreated today that they don't get to come across like any of the superstars from like the Attitude Era.
Yeah, I feel like now that's the problem with wrestling is that there's really no good manager slash wrestler roles. It's now
Well,
it's they don't.
there is. It's just nobody knows how to work them. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like
like.
you see too many things where people are just trying too hard. Like back in the day, they split up Rusev and Lana, and then
Yeah,
they had Lana go with Dolph Ziggler, and then they tried to give like Summer Rae to Rusev, which was weird because Rusev and Lana were getting married in real life, so it was like it's just a very weird thing. So, I just think some pairings work, some pairings don't, and a lot of the pairings that you were talking about, like Melina and Mercury and Nitro, I think the reason they did so well is because they were able to play that heel role so well and come across as hated. Where in other cases you don't have that dynamic. Like Matanza and Dario Cueto aren't trying to be hated. They're just doing what they see necessary.
exactly. And
And then you got like Mil Muertes and Katrina, where Katrina's just trying to become as powerful as possible, and she'll use the dedication of Mil Muertes to get anything she wants.
and here's the thing about that is that if you catch up with the latest episodes, you know you've been catching up with what's going on. It's like you don't know if she's in it for herself or if she really loves Mill as she claims she does. Like that's the thing about it, and that's what gets me interested because it's like sooner or later it feels like she's gonna stab him in the back, and if that happens, bro, I'm gonna be shocked.
Yeah, but I like how it also comes across too that like she doesn't even know if she wants to do that because even Mil Muertes impresses her by how powerful he is. Like that's how they make it come across that like even when he dies or like stuff like that, she'll always bring him back because at the end of the day, he is dedicated to her and the power of the stone. So it's like it's
Yeah,
one of those things where she's proven that she like that to her Mil Muertes is expendable, but at the same time he's so powerful. Why would she not want him by her side 24/7?
yeah. You don't know who's actually in control of the whole situation. Like it just keeps jumping back and forth, and she's got a seductive voice too. She was like like the
It's
man.
always a bonus whenever you have a hot manager. I'm just gonna say that.
Exactly. Like she got her character over by as soon as she started like grabbing people and licking them like from the top, from the bottom.
That's another thing
All the
too
way
that
to
she
the
has
top.
her signature moves and stuff like that. Like she has things that she does that is like considered natural for her. And I
Yeah,
think that's one of the cool things too is like when you have things that like people are going to look for or they know is going to happen after a match. That's like the signs of a good pairing is when you can continue to make that fresh.
yeah,
Like
and
'cause
actually,
you should have seen the fans whenever Katrina went to lick like Evilise or Sexy Star. You could
yeah.
see the fans all going crazy in the crowd. They're just like oh shit.
About to do some freaking porno here, some softcore crap. I was going crazy too. I was like, dang, this is getting so hot. This
Nah,
is
but Katrina and Evilise know what they're doing because even in their match at Ultima Lucha, they both showed up with like more exposing ring attire, and it's like, wait a minute, this supposed to be like the baddest bitch in the temple match, and they're dressed up like like they're dressed up to go all in, and it's just great.
yeah, that match. Even though I wasn't really a fan of it, I thought like looking at their attire, I was like, whew. I was like, I'd smash both of them in a heartbeat. Be like,
I bet you would.
smash both of them at the same freaking time.
Now that's
But
just not realistic.
yeah, it's not gonna happen. But oh well, you can dream about
Yeah, you
it.
can always dream, keep dreaming.
It's not. Yeah, that's what sucks about wrestling is that there's just so many chicks I want to bang, and I'm sure a lot of other fans do. But it's just like, let's face it, it's not gonna happen. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, it'd be great if it did, but nah, it's not. Like, but
Other
yeah,
than other than Mil Muertes and Dario Matanza, or no, Mil Muertes and Katrina, Dario and Matanza. With WWE, I can't really like think of a manager and wrestler like pairing that I think is like the best because like for so many people, like for people who watched it back in the day, a lot of their responses would be like Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth. Uh, like there's even Ted DiBiase and Virgil. Uh, there's so many good pairings out there, but to me, I don't think the best pairings have existed within WWE.
yeah, like some pairings out here they suck. Like like I remember watching some indie shows and they just had the stereotypical heel manager with the nice clothes and everything and trying to piss off the fans, but it's not working. And he's just there just doing typical generic heel stuff and it's just not memorable. Like it's like you can't come in um being generic. Like he wasn't even dressed up in anything, no gimmick whatsoever. It was just more like a douchebag. rather than actual manager that meant something, like, like Paul Bearer or somebody like or Katrina, Dario Cueto, like those guys, those people, they had actual power, and I feel like the bad managers in wrestling, they don't have that. They have zero personality. They got zero presence. They're just there, they just do stuff just to do it, and they don't even know why they're doing it. And and I feel like um there's just not many um other than I think that the people the pairings we listed, like, I don't know, I guess those were probably the only pairings that are actually the best. Like, I don't know about the others.
Yeah, I mean,
um
after the ones that I've named, I can't think of any other ones. It's
yeah, like
hard to think about, but there's the thing that makes it difficult is that there's also so many people out there that have had one or two different pairings, but they're a manager. So like what I was saying about Stacy Keebler, it's like there's some managers out there that were good with who they were paired up originally, but they went on to have other pairings in the future that probably would have outshined or probably did like less well when it came across
yeah,
to the audience. So to me though, I think that Undertaker and Paul Bearer is one of those ones that's looked at like very highly. Um, the Mercury, Nitro, and Melina, it was one of those most unique manager and wrestler pairings because the way that they made it work, and they made it a heel gimmick that was it was so cool how they came up with it. I liked how they executed that, and even though I disliked them around the time like when I watched, I always wanted to see Mercury and Nitro and Melina all on the show whenever I watched. Not and I knew what was coming. Like I knew that Melina would end up screwing up the match, but they were just so good at what they did. It was entertaining.
yeah. And by the way, I think that uh they did like some type of fan service with that on Lucha Underground. Remember Ultima Lucha 1, when
Oh
when
yeah, but see, that's what I thought. I was like, I thought they were gonna continue with Melina and Johnny
yeah,
Mundo.
yeah,
But
but it
then
was
next thing you know, the next season comes around and it's Johnny Mundo with Taya, and it's like, whoa.
yeah, it was really disappointing. But I mean, Melina had already had her time with them, so I
Yeah,
guess
but
that's probably
I think Lucha Underground should have made it more clear that it was a one-time thing, because when
yeah.
everybody saw Melina, they were like, "What?" They were freaking out in the crowd,
Yeah.
man. There's people screaming. Like I was like, there is no way they're gonna have me wait a full season, like or a full like time period for them to tape a season. And then I gotta wait for the season to come out just to see Melina and Johnny Mundo again. Like I was somewhat triggered when that episode ended, and then I was like, I was stunned when I saw Taya. I was like, wait a minute, wasn't this supposed to be Melina? And then I ended up really liking Taya, which I feel like Taya could be considered a manager with Johnny Mundo.
Yeah, that's probably the case now. But I was like, what? I was like, you got to be kidding me when I first saw Melina come in and whatnot, and just ruin everything. And I was like, oh crap. but but yeah, I mean, speaking of Melina, like, I think I told you about how she was actually, somebody told me that she was at a con in my area,
Oh, for
and
real?
yeah, and no, and she looked disappointed because nobody was showing up. Like, nobody was buying anything, nobody was asking for autograph, nothing.
Was this
And I
recently?
was, No, this happened like a few years ago. Like
Oh,
maybe
okay.
like
Well, I mean, I could still see how today there would be some fans at like a wrestling. If there's any like wrestlers there, I could see how there would be like some wrestling fans who would notice her.
yeah, probably because there's not many wrestling fans there.
Yeah,
Um,
that's probably it.
yeah, like dang, I was like, if I were there, I would have gone up to her and got her autograph simply
Yeah,
because
I would
I
because I grew up watching her, you know? It's like
yeah,
for some people it's like they want to see the legends like Ted DiBiase, Virgil, freaking all of those big name people, but like to me if I was to like see if I was to see like Joey Mercury or what was that one dude back in the day, Jamie Noble, uh like if I was to see any of those, even Carlito, Chris Masters, those are all people I would still be interested in like getting an autograph and a picture with.
yeah. I feel like if a manager really stands out, you should be a fan. Um,
Oh, you know how many people buy tickets to hear like Paul Heyman seminars? It's crazy.
no, how many people do that?
You haven't seen them online, dude? There's like full it's almost like a like comedic like stand-up comedy where you got
Yeah,
like a full bar of people watching you. Like that's literally what I've seen videos of like Paul Heyman and he's like talking to a bunch of fans. It's like I bet with Paul Heyman like being the mouthpiece that he is within wrestling, he could like tour like for years just going around like scheduling his own events for like talking wrestling and behind the scenes, you know?
yeah,
Because he's
yeah.
got
But
that
Paul,
experience. He's like who would not want to hear from one of the best managers of all time, one of the most brilliant wrestling minds, the dude who created ECW. It's like,
yeah,
come on
I know,
now.
I would pay for that.
People are definitely up for that. That's why I feel like I don't hear about Eric Bischoff because like I feel like Eric Bischoff is on the level of a Paul Heyman, even though he's hated way more. Like what's that one writer?
Vince
Vince
Russo?
Russo. Yeah, I feel like
Yeah, I don't know.
Eric Bischoff is looked at more like a Vince Russo rather than a Paul Heyman, which sucks because I really enjoyed a lot of what I saw from Eric Bischoff back in like 2006. I feel like when he was like an on-screen character, he did very well. Not the old ECW stuff though. I
Yeah,
understand why he's hated for that.
yeah, yeah. We'll talk about Paul Heyman some other time, like, cause I got a lot to say about it. But yeah, I'm out of ideas. I guess I'm out of topics to talk about. What about you?
Well, this was a good episode. I mean, I don't got anything too crazy. It's I'm gonna catch up with Lucha Underground. I'm still gonna try and watch Glow, but like I don't know. It's weird like thinking about watching the season of Glow because Vonnie talked about that a lot. So it was just other than that, I watch like the WWE highlights on YouTube every now and then, but that's mainly the wrestling that I've been watching.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll keep talking
Have
about
you
Lucha.
have you watched anything recently other than Lucha Underground?
No, not recently. I mean, I was in the middle of watching this match that one of my friends sent me. Like a bunch of other
What
one of my friends
what was
there.
the recent match that you shared on Mass Wrestling that I saw?
Um, it was Vampiro versus Six Pac, also known as
Oh
X Pac.
yeah. Yeah, I think I watched that. I can't remember if I did. It's like usually whenever I see you post like the links to those matches, I go and check them out every now and then. But
Yeah, that
um
was a crazy match.
yeah, yeah. It's cool too because I didn't like I get to see so many matches that I missed out on because I did not watch I really didn't watch a lot from TNA, a lot from like the NWA. Like even like sometimes people even send me old wrestling matches with like Junkyard Dog, King Kong Bundy, and like I get to watch some of those, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. Like I have a lot of wrestling to catch up on. Like I've been so burnt out on it, like for the past couple of weeks, actually months, because I've been watching so much of it. But now I'm getting back into it. Like so, I'm watching. Um, aside from Lucha Underground, I'm just watching Pentagon Junior's matches.
Yeah, I think I'm probably gonna after I catch up on season 4, I'm probably gonna put watching Glow, like or yeah, I'm gonna put watching that like a little farther back, and then I'm gonna go back and watch season 2 and season 3 of Lucha Underground just to remember the good times. And I mean,
Yeah,
to be honest, I'm not hating season 4. I just think it's way too. It's trying to be more funny than it's supposed to be, and they're not coming up with as intriguing storylines that I once liked. But everything else, the superstars, the location, the in-ring action, it's all still very good. It's just they're lacking what made Lucha Underground feel so important.
yeah, and I think you heard about what I said about them using like trash like wrestlers, and I'm not talking about the memorable characters that we already know. Like I'm talking about guys like that guy with the pizza.
Oh yeah. See that yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's like it's trying to be more funny than it should be. If you remember back in the day they had that one dude who was right next to the he was the wrestler that worked with the cop Cortez or whatever.
Yeah,
You remember that? It was like he was like a chunkier Mexican dude, and he wore like a black muscle shirt. He was the definition of like someone who's funny, but still takes the in ring action very seriously. When you
yeah,
have this random dude coming out to the ring and he's got pizza in his mouth and stuff, it's like you're trying to be funny. It's not that funny. It's more, and that's what I was telling you. It was more of a joke for like the audience that was actually there rather than the people who are watching because
yeah,
Lucha Underground has so many quick jump cuts to like different action within those matches because they
yeah,
got multiple man matches almost every night. So the action wasn't really on him all too much, but I definitely agree with you that it does come off like irritating to some of us who are watching
yeah.
because like I didn't even know who the dude was, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's like
But
come on.
they made it seem like he's been involved for more than one season.
When he hasn't. It's like, who are these guys? Like, I don't want to see them on my screen. Dang, it's like,
And then they had uh Jack Swagger, um, or isn't his name like
yeah,
Jack Strong now or something like
yeah,
that?
Jack Strong. I
They
mean, I
had
don't think,
him teaming up with two people who we've never seen before. But I do like how they talked him up because like Famous B, he's good at what he does. And see, I feel
yeah,
like that's one of the cases where it works. Like you can put two jobbers with a well-known name if you have someone like Famous B that can spin it and like can talk that talk, you know, and get it over with the audience. I feel like that was a good idea, and I thought it was cool how Jack Swagger, aka Jack Strong, I like how he just destroyed the jobbers after they lost.
yeah. But the thing about it is, I don't know. I don't know if Jack Strong, Jack Swagger, belongs on Lucha Underground. Like, I, I'm not saying he's a bad wrestler. He's actually a really good wrestler. But it's like I think they're just getting too many guys who are not luchadors. They're just wrestlers. They're not really making it a beef between um, You know how okay, so you know how back in seasons 1 and 2 and 3, they had a balance between actual luchadors who were in lucha libre, and then they had those who weren't.
Like
You
your
know,
casual wrestlers.
yeah. And now it's like now we're having more casual wrestlers than luchadors. It's like what happened to guys like Bengala and Argenis.
Oh shit, I forgot about Argenis.
Yeah, yeah. What happened to those guys? It's like Kill Shot or
Well,
people
Killshot's
like
still there.
yeah, like it's like the masked wrestlers are just slowly being pushed out, and it feels like they're low. It feels like they can't afford them, so they got to settle for these casual wrestlers, and I'm just not digging it. I'm
I
just
don't know. I don't think it's gotten that far yet because even though like for every cage, um, like Paul, like I would even say like a Paul London has a lucha libre background. It's just he's not a luchador. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
like Johnny Mundo has that lucha libre background. It's just he's not a luchador, and it's like he doesn't wear a mask. He doesn't do all that. But I feel like even if I don't know, I don't think there's too many of those faces running around. I do understand where someone would be worried about Jack Swagger though, because if you even watched his first appearance, he just looked like he was working stiff. He was like sloppy here and there. And it just doesn't look like that's the type of in-ring action that fits a Jack Swagger because he's more of like a realistic type wrestler where he can like chain wrestle you, and that's really what he's known for. And when you put him in there with luchadors who are throwing kicks, who are going fast paced, I feel like he's just gonna slow people down.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point with guys like Cage, because at least Cage, uh, he respects lucha libre. He, and same with
Well, I
other
mean,
people.
I think Jack Swagger respects it. I just think he's not skilled enough to move as fast as the action requires him to.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is these guys that they're bringing in, they're not. It seems like they're just not used to the fast paced action and whatnot, and that's probably my issue with it. It's
My issue with Lucha Underground though, like for season 4, is just if I could like put it in any simple, like the simplest way I could put it would be they took a few steps back when they lowered the budget, changed the location. And even though they did that, I was still rocking with them. But once they decided to like, it's like the stories don't feel the same. It feels like they're using cop outs for like certain angles. Like I've seen angles with Katrina disappearing and appearing and asking for stuff multiple times. So it kind of got old to me. So like whenever I see her doing that stuff this season, it's like, okay, we're in season 4. You legitimately got to be doing something. Like stop doing the same stuff, start doing some actual shit. Cuz like
yeah,
I feel like it's been a build up with Katrina and Mil Muertes for the longest time. It's like, well, when are we finally gonna get to the payoff here?
exactly. That's also my issue is that like stop begging on your knees for people. Like, dang, come on now. It's like show some actual stuff. Like that's what bothers me as well, is because she keeps getting. It's like you got these supernatural powers and crap, and yet you're on your knees for Dario Cueto to give you an opportunity. It makes no sense. It's
If
like
you remember, if you remember back when we were discussing like season 3 or season 2, we were talking about how like, well, like you were saying, season 3 wasn't your favorite, but to me, like every night had something that was like worthy of being called a main event, you know?
yeah, like I
Like
mean,
at least every episode would have one thing that was like, all right, I'm glad I watched the episode for this.
yeah, I mean,
Right now with Lucha Underground, I just don't think it. it's like that right now. I feel like it's either the episodes are just hit or miss. Either you like some things about this episode or you just didn't like the episode.
I'm not liking it, period. Like remember back in the day.
That's mainly because you're more strict with what you expect from a Lucha Underground than like someone else, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of feeling the match with Cobra Moon a little bit. And the other match with Chavo Guerrero and the other guy, I can't remember
Oh yeah,
who.
I forgot Chavo's back.
Yeah, I was feeling those matches, but
Which kind of sucks because they said that he was kicked out of the temple, which I guess since there's a new owner, doesn't really
yeah,
matter, but
yeah, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, I don't remember much of season 3, but I will say that um as far as the action goes, like I feel like season 3 was hyped at the beginning, and same with story wise too. But then like the action started getting low. It just wasn't. I wasn't feeling it anymore.
I don't
But
know.
as
I feel like it started out too slow because if you remember season 3, if I remember season 3 was more dedicated towards Rey Mysterio, Dragon Azteca, Mil
Yeah,
Muertes. It was less of Mil Muertes in the spotlight, less of not Pentagon, what's his name? He left Lucha Underground.
Puma.
Prince Puma, yeah. It was like where your main characters kind of stepped out of the spotlight and you brought in a legend, you brought in your beast, you brought in your young face in Dragon Azteca. And I think that's when the action really picked up for me. It was more of a wait because we got into season 3 and Johnny Mundo was still like the Lucha Underground champion. So like we had to wait for him to lose the title. And eventually once he did, like that's when things were really great.
Yeah, yeah. It had its moments. I'll give it that.
You
Like
got to
it had.
think though, we had Pentagon versus Matanza in season 3. We
Yeah,
had we had Mil Muertes versus Prince Puma for the last time. We had Phoenix, Aerostar, and who was the other one? And
um,
Drago. Drago.
yeah,
They were all a team until like Drago kind of split from them. But like we had so many good things in season 3, and it's crazy because we didn't have as much from not Mil Muertes, Prince Puma, and even what's their names? Evilise and Helico and Son of Havoc.
yeah, yeah. It was, we had a lot of good things, but we
We had
also
a lot
had,
of the Worldwide Underground too.
yeah, yeah. Dang, I forgot what I was gonna say. so yeah, I mean that's.
So we got to
Oh,
talk
and
about.
oh, okay. Oh, and dude, this is what annoys me about it. Um, okay, and you're probably gonna hate this too. um, for the, I don't know how many times, but like for the fifth time, they're gonna have Mil Muertes go up against Phoenix in a grave consequence match.
Oh, again?
Yeah. And I was like, that just annoyed me. I was like, come on now. It's like, how many times are we gonna do this match? Like, dang, it's like we already did it for like I don't know, 5 times already. But thankfully they switched it up and they were like, they had Jeremiah Crane
Added
join.
to.
Yeah. So, but it was still though, it was the same crap that they.
I totally get what you mean. Like that's a match that we've had for the longest, especially how they rotated it. It was for the longest time it was Sexy Star trying to rise up against Mil Muertes, and then you had Phoenix trying to rise up against Mil Muertes, and those were two pairings that they like worked in and out like multiple times, and it got it kind of got old, but I feel like no matter what, Phoenix puts on a great match, so I can't complain too much.
Yeah, the first time it was epic, but then, and maybe even the second time, or maybe even
And
the third.
I think with Jeremiah Crane, it's going to be even more intense now, more brutal.
I mean, I already watched it. I'm not gonna comment on that. I'm gonna just let you watch it.
Yeah,
But
don't tell me.
all
But
right,
yeah, this was a pretty good episode, man.
all right. So I'm out of ideas. I'm out of things to discuss. We had a really great episode. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like this video, subscribe to my channel.
Peace out.
Yeah, peace out. All right.